just had this conversation with somebody, and I hadn't seen them in a long time. And it's funny because I was walking down the hallway here in my office, and I heard my name. I turned around, and I didn't recognize the person. I'm sure that's happened to you too at some point. But so we were catching up, and both of us have taken some different career shifts in the last 5 years since we saw each other. And it was interesting. We got on we got onto the topic of job satisfaction and making change, and we were coming to the point of our conversation. We started talking about this concept of being in agreement and living from agreement instead of expectation. And it's something I've been thinking about quite a bit the last several months. And what happens when we feel dissatisfied, or we get full of resentment, anger, lack of motivation, dissatisfaction, more often than not, it's going to be because we're not in agreement with the relationship, either with an actual like occupation, a line of work, a relationship. Regardless, if we're not in agreement and we're living out of expectation, then we have to be in the victim position, and that's where all the anger and resentment come from. We point fingers, we blame, and really we have a choice. We have a choice as free and sovereign individuals, as human beings. Like, you get to be able to be in agreement with what it is that you want. And if we live out of the opposite there, which is expectation, so things should happen a certain way, they should be a certain way, and then when those things don't happen, we're going to have that negative emotional reaction, like typically, again, it's say anger or resentment or some type of or negative relationship with that thing. And then also just paying attention to how it's playing out in relationships, and especially intimate relationships. And that because we come from our own conditioned patterns of understanding what relationships look like from our family of origin, we are going to show up in our current relationships with that conditioned mind, usually out of expectation, where, we might say things out loud or even in our mind, like, I shouldn't have to say that. You should know that. It shouldn't be this way, and it should be that way. And what frequently happens is because of that, when we have to be in the victim position, we have to be out of alignment with our true self. When we understand what we want and what we need, we can assert that and communicate that effectively, so that we can begin to get what we want. But in terms of relationships, intimate relationships especially, we have to be in agreement. Other things that we can make peace with and be in agreement with too is, things that we have to do because we have to. And as adults, we do a ton of things that, it's not fun, but we have to do them. But the agreement there is that it serves the higher good, the higher purpose, the greater value of what it is that that I love, and that's why I'm doing that thing, or I'm agreeing to it. And notice how, like, being in agreement is different than sacrificing. I mean, sacrificing, if we're going in that direction, that has a lot of martyrdom tone to it, and also it's going to imply a lot of victimhood, which does not set up good relationship, either with the person or with that thing. It could be a job, it could be any other task that you feel like you have to do or be responsible for. And so as we get to know ourselves better, as we get to be more in touch with what we want and what we need, we can start to make those healthy agreements so that they serve us, and then in part with that, they begin to serve other people, especially the people that we care about and that we love. So I hope that was helpful. And if you're interested more about what I do and how I help people, I'll drop my link to my website below. And then also I'll add a link there for the newsletter I've been doing the last couple of weeks. And take care of yourself. Hope you're doing well.